Thank you for tuning into the podcast, and thanks to our sponsor, SS96. Still rocking with us in 2022, and it's so amazing. We appreciate you. SS96 is putting out new merch and still has some of your favorites. Get your Executive Productions t-shirts, Swish Masters t-shirts, as well as Farm Raised Entertainment t-shirts. Don't forget to check out Straight Stoners music, as well as my own release under Executive Productions. It's available on all streaming platforms, and new music is in the works, so stay tuned. Go to ss96.net and use the promo code SWISHMASTERS to get this kind of merch today. Thank you all again. We're grateful.
And like you said, with the dunk contest, it's either hit or miss, and we like to see Ja Morant in it. I think the past years with some of the judging and some of the scores, I think kind of steer people away from it. Like, if the dunk is good, give it a 50.
Right.
Just give it a 50 and let's just keep it going. Like, just keep it
right.
Run out instead of saying, all right, we got to give somebody else the low score. So we just end this. Like, no, I had a dunk off, keep it going. Because I think that's what we appreciated about Zach LaVine and Gordon. Yeah. That they just kept going back and forth to the point where they were doing the same dunks to try to top each other. So that was what made that entertaining. So I hope the judging is good.
Kev, follow up on that. Let me hear your thoughts on this, guys. All right, so I think, like what you said, I think that in the dunk contest, they should start at a 50, not a 0. So it starts at a 50. And if it's not a good dunk, it goes lower. Like, all right, I'll give that an 8 or a 9 or a 7. But everything should start at a 50, and then it's like, okay, you've hit the mark of what it is a 50, and then it can go into like, well, now like it's the first one who makes a bad dunk or isn't it? Because that's easier to see of like, oh, that wasn't a 50, because then so then you can kind of have matchups. Because I feel like once you hit a 50, it's like once you give the 50. It's like it's over now. It's like, well, that's a 49, that's a 48, but then like guys are getting gypped out. But so I think that you shouldn't start at 0. You should start at 50. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
That's interesting. But I mean, I still think it's gonna be the same thing where, even if you start at 50, like the guy's first dunk is really good. Then the guy's second dunk isn't as good as his first dunk. So now you're like, well, that's not a 50.
Right.
But we all know the difficulty behind it.
Right.
And the judges should know too the difficulty behind it. But I think it's still gonna end up with guys like, I can't top that first dunk.
Right. So you're saying like if let's say Jalen Green has a 50, then his next dunk's not as good. So it's like, okay, it has to be a 48, but then it's still better than Obi Toppin's 50. It kind of gets weird because like they're going against their own dunks, and everyone else is kind of confusing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to any changes with the scores though, honestly. Yeah. Just so we can see. Even if LeBron got in the dunk contest next year, I think he would drop 50s.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. We need to see him once.
Only thing he hasn't done.
Right. The only thing. What do you guys think about not only 2 ways I can think of to make the dunk contest better by the scoring wise? Because first of all the dunks is just subjective to whoever's watching, so you can either like try to weed through it by either having more judges for one, or you can do or you can change to like fan voting for like everybody. But the only thing about fan voting, it could be biased, but I don't know. But I think those are 2 kind of ways how to have more judges to vote, so we don't get too many people doing, because we all know what happened like past couple of years. It's like that one person, but if you steer away from that one person by adding, you can like cancel it out,
Yeah.
Those are the two things I can think of. But what do y'all think about that? Because I like your idea too, Pete. But it's like, I don't know.
Might get too confusing.
We got a lot of trolls in this world though, so
That's true.
you know, I
That's
go
true.
and puts down a weak dunk, and if everybody votes for him.
That's true.
Then now we got real fans that are mad. Kind of like Andrew Wiggins starting.
Right.
I mean, I think the fan vote,
Good point.
the fans should have a vote, but not the main vote, if that makes sense. Like the same way the All-Star format is, you have the fans are voting them in, right? But at the end of the day, the coaches select, who makes the rest of the roster. I feel like they should have like maybe a small percentage or something like that. And then, like you said, Pete, with the starting off at a 50, like basically if you start off with like your best dunk, right? Or like a trial dunk, basically to see who moves on to the next thing. And then you go into that like showdown of who has, best dunk for dunk. And it becomes just a going, back to back. I think that's kind of cool too. But it's just like you said, it kind of like takes the build up of it out. But I still feel like that's different because now you're saying like, okay, this guy can do this guy can do this. Okay, these two guys, they don't have that. So now it's just like, oh, one-on-one, like, mono, who's gonna like take the crown. I feel like they'll be interesting because we all want to see, a Levine versus Aaron Gordon type situation where they're just going at it back to back. But yeah, I feel like that's a cool twist to the dunk contest, the scoring format.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But
I'm down to tell him. If you got a connection, I'll tell him. I'll give him my ideas.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, they seem to be taking a lot of new ideas. Like even yesterday with the Rising Stars game, they had 4 teams instead of like the rookies, sophomores, or it's been like World versus USA recently. But they seem like they're taking all the innovations, trying to make it something new, make it more interesting, which I think we all can appreciate as fans. So it's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
For sure.
Oh.